Alrighty everyone, welcome back to Genshin, and we're hitting version 5.6. God, as a 1.0 player, that hurts me to hear. Anyway, I digress. This boss before you is one of two new bosses introduced this patch, and this specifically is to help you withstand Escoffier, or Gordon Ramsay, as everyone calls her. Now, this boss, albeit, it's kind of interesting because it has two ways to fight it. One way with this Cryo infusion thing, and then the other way with Nightsoul, which honestly I don't recommend, but I'll get into that later. There's only like 4 attacks it'll do outside of the DPS phase, and also it's not very hard to read. So this boss isn't actually difficult per se, but it does have a gear check, in which that if you're not a Cryo player, and let's say you don't own Ayaka, Risley, Ganyu, or even Chongyun for his infusion, it's not going to be a good time for you if your Kaya is like level 10 and unbuilt. Because here's the thing. The game gives you a tip in which that, this is his DPS phase by the way, sweeper mode. It tells you to use consecutive Cryo attacks. But the problem that it has is that it doesn't tell you that it lasts for a very long time. So if you look at Kaya's kit in talents, it only lasts for 8 seconds, and nothing in his constellations or anything help with that unless if you get like a kill, but this is a boss fight, so there's no minions or anything. And the biggest issue I have is that he needs a lot of energy recharge for you to make sure that he's useful in this fight, because Animo Infusion only goes so far. So you can see I gave him Amanoma Kageyuchi and also 4-piece Emblem Severed Fate, which you can see here. I have him at 215%, and he does ascend ER, which will make your job a little easier. So if you're just using him for mechanics, you can just kind of give him a timepiece and be done with it. But in general, it's a bit of a headache. But luckily, we have Animo to help us out. So if you don't have Kazuha and you only have Lynette, or if you remember they exist, Animo Traveler, they're going to be a big help when it comes to keeping up the Cryo in this fight. I won't get into too much detail right now though, because it'll just be explained in the fight anyway, but let's look over my characters real quick. So we've got Lynette with 1 N compared to my Traveler that has 2. I'm going to give her Festering Desire. You can use anything that you want on her, to be honest. I would recommend an ER sword though, because it'll help you get her energy back. And VV here, or Viridescent Veneer. Amber is going to be using a slingshot and 4-piece noblesse. Honestly, she and Xiangling will not have much presence in this fight, although I will try to mix them in when I can. She'll be using Kitane Crossspear and Emblem Severed Fate here. And Kaya, like I said, is running an ER build because I built him with Emblem Severed Fate. So if you do have the privilege of owning swords such as the Sacrificial Sword, the Skyward Blade, or even Favonia's Sword, I would recommend you use them because they will be useful. Because again, his elemental burst only lasts 8 seconds. Anywho, let's begin. So I'll do the Nightsoul thing like interjectively. So here I'm just going to begin, and he will do 1 of 4 moves, and this one guaranteed, if you just walk up to him, he'll slice the floor with swords like this. Back up a little bit further because that second sword does reach out pretty far, but after this it's RNG. So here we have 1 of 3 moves. This is like this weird water orb grenade thing. He'll trap you inside. And then he'll either chase after me or do this Whirlpool. And the Whirlpool actually does damage you, as you saw right there. But you can just walk out of it. And after 3 attacks, he'll go into the middle here. And this is where it's important. You're going to have to bring out Kaya and go ham. Because you want to immediately make sure that you can put up a lot of Cryo. Because you can see here that it stops his attacks, which is really good. And you want to keep that up because the more you keep him down like this, the better it is, because not only will the attack slow down, but you can do more damage to him. If you don't have Cryo and you're just constantly hitting him like this without Cryo attacks and like infusion of Anima mixed in, not only will he become more resistant to your attacks, but he can easily kill you because he'll do more damage to you. So just be aware of that. And from there, the only attack that's left that I haven't showcased is him just running after me. Let's see if I can trigger it. There we go. Yeah. So This one he'll do most of the time 2 times, but sometimes he'll chase after you 3 times. And from here, he'll go back to the middle, and it's just rinse and repeat. So just watch out for where he starts his beams, and immediately go ham. So Lynette after Kaya, and stop his attacks, and this is when he'll have the least amount of resistance to your attacks. So just go ham with your DPS. Even bring out the Pyro in here. Why not? But be careful doing that because you're not upholding any Cryo, so therefore, see how much, like, he just hit me right there? Not fun. And it'll only get faster and more dangerous as time goes on. So you really want to temper how much you want to rush into this. So that was more like a failed DPS phase. He had his water jets on like half the time, and I was doing a lot less damage to him compared to what I was doing before. But otherwise, that is quite literally all there is to the fight. So again, if you need me to repeat, just battery up your Kaya and make sure you have an elemental burst ready at any time. Because after 3 attacks, he'll go into the middle of the arena and do the whole Gmod death run thing. Alright, so let's cover the whole Nightsoul thing. And by the way, this only applies during the DPS phase, so let's bring our neighborhood-friendly Kachina out when that time is appropriate. So I'll skip to that right now. Alright, so in the middle here, I'm going to enable the Cryo, but then I'm just going to grab Kachina and I'm going to use one. And so you'll see this like glowing effect here from this like sigil that's surrounding it. And when it fills up, it'll enter this thing called Counter-Strike mode, which is not about aim bots and spin bots, but you can see here that it enters this sort of alternate like way of tracking you. And apparently the resistance to attacks goes down to only 50%. So if you do have a Nightsoul team, like say Mawika, Sifali, and you know, maybe you have Shilonen, Neuvillette, Frina, and Kazuha, it could be a viable strat in Abyss, but I don't know if that's like the best way to go about it, especially when the Cryo method is so much more effective, at least in my opinion. But yeah, that's quite literally all there is to that. And unfortunately, I burned through all my Nightsoul, so I guess this is where it ends. And that is it. This will appear in Spiral Abyss, and I heard from Sunway that the stats say that the resistance to attacks is almost 400% if you don't do the Cryo method. So my advice to you is that if you're not a Cryo character and you want those 12 stars, you might want to become a Cryo player, I'm not gonna lie. Make sure that your Kaya is well fed and has a lot of energy recharge, because my goodness, I can't imagine someone with like a level 1 Kaya doing this with like a dull sword and maybe like the adventure set. Anyway, I hope this was helpful, I hope this was informative, and I'll catch you in the guide in which that I will do for the weekly boss guide, which, if you didn't know, is found here, Unresolved Chess Game. Good night, have a good rest of your week, and catch you in the next vid. Thank you so much.